All right. Good evening, Corona Days Professional Development Group. Okay. I'm just a few minutes late. I'm 5 minutes late, but we right on time. Okay. So I'm here this evening. It's me, Danette Edwards, the founder of Corona Days Professional Development Group. Guys, we're going to jump right into this. I know I'm just a little late, but that's okay. And it says we are live, so I know we are live. Okay, so this evening I have the honor of hosting Sherrita Niles for networking, the key to unlimited doors. So Sherrita's going to go over her story of how she got here and her reason for sharing. She's going to talk about how networking opens doors that wouldn't otherwise be open. She's going to tell us how we could not talk about it and be about it. So don't talk about it, be about it. I want to hear that. Tips to overcome procrastination from the book Eat the Frog. A little about Sherrita. Sherrita Niles, a creative business strategist, affectionately known as the Business Challenge Assassin, is the owner and CEO of In Connection Strategies. In her business, Sherrita aims to assist businesses in the growth and development or expansion stage, overcome difficulties, or take on a new project. Using networking as a tool, Sherrita teaches you to leverage your passions, skills, and knowledge to get your desired results. With 20 years of experience in corporate, nonprofit, and private community relationship building, she's a bridge builder and connector, a multi-passionate creative. When not advising businesses, Sherrita can be found creating visual art pieces, upcycling furniture and clothing, or designing holistic tea blends for wellness. She is also a globetrotter who loves to organize travel experiences and share her travel adventures with others. All right, so Corona Days Professional Development Group, Sherrita would like to have her questions at the end of the session. So we're going to reserve questions for the end. I'm going to, mute myself and turn my camera off and turn it over to Sherrita. Thank you for being here with us this evening, Sherrita.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure. It's been great getting the opportunity to meet you, Nat, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be on your platform. So as she said in the introduction, I am Sherrita Niles, also known as the Business Challenge Assassin, and I help you eliminate your challenges by learning to effectively leverage and network. So I wanted to just share, we're just going to talk a little bit, I'm just going to give a little bit of information and share my story about how I got to this passion for networking. It really started when I relocated to where I live now, which is Indianapolis, Indiana. I am a native of St. Louis, Missouri. Like she said in the bio, 20 years of working in nonprofit, private organizations, building relationships, securing relationships for other companies. And I came to the point that I realized this was a talent that I had. It took a while to get there, and I really didn't realize it until I relocated to Indianapolis. When I arrived here, I came with no family, no friends. I even left my children in St. Louis while I came to make a living and make a new start for myself. And a lot of people ask me, like, why would you come to Indianapolis? People don't really say, hey, I'm going to Indianapolis. It's not the most exciting place to go, but it is a great place to raise your family. It's a great place to live, and it's a great place to start a business or start a career. So for me, I really feel like I was led here by God. It was not on my radar. I didn't know anything about the city. I got to a point where I was overwhelmed with things that were happening where I was. I sent out resumes, and this was a place where I got answers. I came and interviewed, and 2 weeks later, I relocated my life. Now, most people would say, oh, well, how could you leave your children? Of course, I had a little bit of guilt, but in order to be able to establish what I needed to establish for my family, I had to make some sacrifice. So I left my children there. I did drive back and forth for the first 3 months, just making our way, trying to figure out what I was going to do. The job that I came to Indianapolis for was actually a part-time job. So several people thought that I was very crazy to leave my city, leave my family, leave my children to relocate somewhere for a part-time job. But again, there's sacrifice in everything that you do. And I really felt like this was a place that I was supposed to be. Working that part-time job was probably one of the greatest things that I've ever experienced. I had the opportunity to meet people that I've never met before. Of course, those people were individuals I didn't know just because I didn't have friends or family here. But what I can say is it grounded me. I had to connect with people. I didn't have a choice but to connect with people. So I connected. I worked for a medical center. I had to connect with patients. I connected with administrators. I connected with people that I work with on my team. And I also connected with vendors. My job was to build relationships with other vendors as well as with the patients and the individuals that were coming there. And that afforded me so many new opportunities that I didn't have before I came. So just giving you a little bit of insight, working that position, I got to know more people in the first 6 months of being here than the number of connections that I had in St. Louis. Not because I didn't make the opportunity, just because I feel like this was my area. This is where I belonged. And I used what I had to get to where it was that I wanted to get. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But what I did was I built relationships with people. I would go, I talk to them. And of course, I was connecting with them on behalf of the medical organization that I work for, but also they were my contacts. They were doing business with this organization because of me, because of my personality, because of what I presented to them. So often I would volunteer to help them with events or with causes that they were doing. I would invite them in to help with things that we would, and that's how our relationships were built. Before I ever asked them to do anything, I offered my help to them. And in that, I actually transitioned from that part-time position to a full-time position within that company. And then shortly thereafter to a full-time position in a whole different company. And the other company that I worked for was based on a vendor I had worked with. I volunteered to help with an event that she had. She knew that I was having some issues and I was ready to move on and expand, and those opportunities weren't available to me. And she made an offer. And in that offer, it allowed me to not only change the career a bit, but also to expand the amount of money that I was able to make. So I increased my income by $5,000 within the first year of being in Indianapolis, just solely based on building relationships. Within a year and a half from that, I had a similar opportunity. I was working with someone else, bringing them in to help with some services that were being provided within the program that I worked. And again, I was ready to have more because I am always seeking more. And in that, in just conversing with that person, I was able to find out that there was a position available. I wasn't really at the point where I was ready to leave, but I was just keeping my options open, had a conversation with her, submitted my resume, and then within a month, I'm not even sure it was a month, I transitioned to another position, which boosted me another $6,000 in my income. So within less than 2 years, I had increased my income by $10,000. This was not based on me having multiple degrees or me being anything other than who I am, just showcasing my talent, my passion, what I'm passionate about, who I am. That is what gave merit to that. So that's where the title came from. Networking is the key to unlimited doors. Yes, I am not negating anyone who has a degree or who has worked hard to get the things that they need to get to move on or to increase their career. But there's more to it than that. Just a piece of paper is not what gets you the opportunities that you need. You have to interact with people. You have to connect with people. You have to build relationships with people, because relationships is how I have gotten to where I am. And then just kind of wrapping up the story, Right before the pandemic occurred, I had a conversation with another contact that I had met at one of those positions, and I have had the opportunity to have some of those individuals follow me from position to position. So wherever they were vendors or working with me at one place, I could always pick up the phone and say, hey, this is where I am. Or sometimes they would pick up the phone and call me and say, where are you now? Wherever you are, we want to be involved in what it is that you're doing. For me, that gave me a sense of pride, like I must be doing something right. And one of the vendors said to me, well, she's not a vendor, she's a contact and actually has become a good friend. She asked me why I was not doing this for myself. Why was I continuing to build other people's businesses when this itself could be a business? And when she when she said it to me, I didn't even think that it could be a business. I was like, oh, well, I just connect people, because in addition to connecting myself to people, I would connect other organizations, companies, businesses to one another as well. And she said, no, you really should explore that. I think that you would be great at it. So I took some time to do some research. She actually gave me a number of a person to contact. And I contacted the person and she gave me some great advice. What she told me was what I was doing was a lot more than what she was doing. And then she told me what she was getting paid to do it. And from that point, my mind was just like, I need to make this my business. This is what I can do with my eyes closed. I connect people all the time, and I'm always looking to connect with people. I go to networking events and where other people are fearful and they're standoffish, I walk into the room and I seek someone to build to have a conversation with, just to be myself. I don't put on a presentation. I'm not trying to rehearse what it is that I'm saying. I would simply just start off with, hey, how are you? Or hello, or we're drinking coffee and hey, do you like this same coffee? Or it's just being authentic. And because of that, I've been able to build several relationships with several individuals. So in that, right before the pandemic, I decided that things were a little bit difficult because I had not so many children. I had my children at home. They were home alone. And I'm a very involved parent, and I just was not comfortable with being at work all day and extended hours, and my children being at home alone without me being there to support them. This pandemic situation was difficult for everybody, and I wanted to be available to support them in it, because I'm sure if I didn't understand it, they definitely didn't understand it. So I made the choice to step away from my job and work this business full time. I was doing it on a part-time basis, helping out individuals that I knew. And I transitioned into it. And the moment that I took that step, it was complete blessings. Once I let people know that's what I was doing, so many people poured into me. So many people contacted me, said, let me know what I can do to help you. I'm here for you. Tell us what you're doing. If there's anything that we can do, to support it, please let us know. So I'm very appreciative of having that. But those are results that come from building strong, effective relationships. And the reason why I wanted to teach this to so many different people. So my target is pretty much small businesses, those individuals who are in the growth and development stage. So not so much startup, which, yes, you should be building your network when you're trying to start a business. But I prefer to work with individuals who already have a business established and they are trying to grow it or expand it, because then I can use the principles that I am most skilled at and demonstrate them to them. But the reason why I wanted to is because I have noticed so many people run from networking. I've talked to top executives to entry-level employees. And when you mention networking, there's like this cringe. People are, shying away from it, or they have this muted idea that you have to be this superstar networker and you walk in and you control the room. And neither of those are true. You don't have to be afraid. because what I say to people is they're just people. They're just like you. They have the same insides. They deal with the same emotions, the same things. And usually the person that you're afraid to talk to most is probably just as afraid to talk to you. So I use that as ways to help people expand their vision as far as networking, and to also understand that networking is what gets you to your level of success. So now I know that I said I was going to save the questions to the end, but I wanted to just like pause, if that's okay, and we can take some questions now if there are any questions about, my story or how I got to where I am before I do the presentation part. Nat, are you there?
I'm here. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'll join in the stream. We don't have any questions yet, so we can move forward.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so, and just in this technology world, my little teleprompter went out, so I have papers here. I'm sorry if it looks unprofessional, but hey, you have to go with the flow. So I am going to share my screen because I want to go ahead and share my slides that I have. I just have a brief little presentation just to give some insight and tips on how networking opens doors for you. All right. So, first slide is your journey belongs to you. So I like to make sure that people understand that the journey that I just described to you is my journey. I don't suggest that anyone try and take the same path that I took, because that path was designed for me. Whatever it is that you're seeking, whether it is you're looking for a higher position, a new position, or you're looking to start a business, you have to take your own journey, your own road. So please don't quit your job if you're not ready to do that, or you don't have the means to support that. Don't relocate to another state unless you have things in place to do that and you know that you will be secure. I am not suggesting those things to anyone, because I can tell you they weren't the easiest, but I am very blessed to be where I am, and I'm grateful for the journey that I had to take. So I want people to just embrace their own journey, whatever that is, whatever the goals are that you set. Be prepared for that journey, and it's yours. It's designed for you. So this is one of my few rap artists that I like is Notorious B.I.G., or also known as Biggie Smalls. And one of my favorite songs by him starts off with "It Was All a Dream." Me getting here was a dream. I've always wanted to be full-time self-employed business owner, and I had to go through some steps to be able to get there. But I honestly, with all of my heart, believe that networking is how I got to the point that I am. I can look back and see several faces that helped me to get to this point just by me making connections with them, building solid relationships. And I'm blessed to say that many of those people I am still in connection with today. And anything that I say that I'm doing, then they're on board for it. There's a amount of trust and credibility that I've built with them because of how I put myself out there in the networking situation. So it begins with a dream. Whatever you're searching for, whatever it is, follow that dream, but be prepared for the path to be solely yours. So I always like to ask people if they have identified what their passions are. And a lot of times people ask me, what does passion have to do with networking? Well, when people are passionate about something, it doesn't take a lot of energy or effort for them to talk about it. So if you're in a networking situation and you're talking about a business that you don't really care for, you don't really like, it's going to come off that way. But if you're talking about something that you are honestly passionate about, then there's no limit to the amount of conversation you're going to have with the other person. You'll be able to talk forever. I'm able to talk forever about networking. I'm able to talk forever about artistic things because those are things that I'm passionate about. So if you haven't identified what your passion is, and you're not working within your passion, that might be the first place that you start. Now, I'm not saying you have to quit your job or change it, but even within the industry that you work, there is something that you're passionate about in it, because otherwise, why are you there? And if it's not, then there may be a way that you can infuse your passion into that industry to make it something that you enjoy more. And then that's where you use your networking techniques for that. All right, so I want to give you a few keys to effective networking. And these are mine. They are also ones that I have found documented in several other places. So this is just not me, but these are the ones that I use when I'm networking. Be authentically you. That is one of my mantras. I'm going to be authentic at all times, 1000% every day, no matter what, no matter who I'm talking to, I'm always me. Be the best listener over the best talker. A lot of times people assume that you go into networking situations or you meet people and your job is to out-talk them, and it's not. Your job is to listen. It's better to give than to receive. So we've heard this principle in several other things. You hear it a lot of times, during the holiday season, but it really applies to business and acquiring positions. Pretty much anything. When you give it, there is a principle of reciprocity that I live by. I give just because I believe in the principle, just like how people believe in karma, that it comes back to you. Well, this is the good side of karma. What you put into the universe or into the world, if you are a believer, then you know that, whatever you give, then you are going to receive. And you don't have to look for where it's going to come from. You just believe that it is going to come back to you. And I've seen that happen. Use your passion, skill, and knowledge as leverage. So this is why I tell people to identify their passions, because sometimes it may not be what the industry is that you're working in, but you may have a skill, a passion, some knowledge that you can help another person with. And in return, there's an opportunity that they can offer you. Networking opens doors that wouldn't otherwise be open. For me personally, that is it's a big one, because I am not a person that has multiple degrees. As a matter of fact, I only hold an associate's degree. And I don't say that in any way as if I'm beneath anyone else, because I am also a lifetime learner. I have certificates and certifications and several other things, and I may not have a master's or a doctorate or, I haven't sat in a traditional school, but I am always learning. And I think everyone should be in that situation, regardless if you have degrees or not. You should always be in a sense of learning, which opens doors to more opportunities and opens doors to more individuals for you to meet and network with. So the fact that I don't have degrees has never stopped me from getting any position that I desired to have. I have never strayed away from applying for positions, even if they say that you have to have, some advanced degree. And I'm not saying that everyone should be able to do that, but it is because of the connections that I've made with individuals, and because they can identify that I am credible for what I say that I can do, that I've been able to get those positions. So just going back to the 4, you will attract the right people and opportunities just by being yourself. So that's being authentic. Authentic is just being who you are in any situation. Now, that doesn't mean that who you are with your family when you're more relaxed is who you are in a networking situation, but it also doesn't mean that you should put on costumes and be an act, because people will see through that, and that's not what you want. They will not see you as authentic, and they won't want to work with you in that situation. Be the best listener. Again, active and effective listening will give you insight to the needs of the person or organization you are trying to connect with. Meet the need, secure the relationship or the opportunity. Bottom line. If you are meeting a need for someone, the first thing that they're going to think is, wow, they did that. I didn't even ask them to, or I asked them to and they did it. And I wonder what else we could do with them. Or they may present an opportunity to you. Just this is where I say, don't talk about it, be about it. So instead of telling people what it is that you can do, show them what it is that you can do. And then it doesn't have to be a discussion. It's better to give than receive. Again, meeting the need to build a relationship or secure an opportunity just might mean that you do it for free. I've done several things for free for organizations, for individuals, for fundraising opportunities. There is a lot that I've done, and I didn't charge anyone. But then I will get a call later that says, hey, we need someone to do, or would you be willing to help with, and how much are you asking for this, or how much can we offer you? Or so just because you do something for free doesn't mean that everything you do will have to be for free. Sometimes you have to give in order to get something back. So demonstrating your talents, skills, or passions through meeting a need is a method of leveraging. So when I am doing things for free for people, it may not always be strategizing for their business. It may not always be teaching people to network. It may have something to do with my artistic talent. It may have something to do with a skill that I gained working another position. Either way, I'm leveraging what I have to get where it is that I want to get, or get something that I desire. So whatever the things are that you desire, you have to figure out what skills, knowledge, and passions that you have and who you need to connect with to get to those positions. And lastly, I wanted to introduce you guys to one of the books that absolutely changed my life. Eat the Frog is a book that actually talks about procrastination. And a lot of people look at procrastination as a negative. For me, in some cases, procrastination works because it pushes me to do something that I may allow fear to stop me from doing in most cases. Usually my procrastination is linked to fear. So when I hesitate to doing it, it forces me to do it at some point because I know what it is that I need to do and I go after my goals. Sometimes that's just a bit delayed. The reason why I love this book is because the analogy that Brian Tracy uses in it is, how do you eat a frog? Which sounds absolutely weird because I don't eat frogs, but the question is, how do you eat a frog? And mentally you think, okay, well, you just take a bite, but that's also how we attack the things that we choose to do in life. So when you're setting goals, you don't have to swallow everything at one time. You eat it piece by piece. So when it comes to networking, it may not be that you are jumping in and immediately pouncing on the person and saying, here's the opportunity that I want. How can you get me there? You take small steps to getting there. It is a process. Building a relationship is a process, just the same as when we are building relationships with friends or romantic relationships. It's all part of the process. So Eat the Frog is about taking small bites until you digest it and then moving on to the next part or the next thing. And that's why I think that it's absolutely a great book. Even if you're not a procrastinator, it's a great book with great tips. If you haven't read it, you should read it. There's also an audio book. And it's helpful. It gives you just enough insight to move on to the next part or to move on. So if you're a person that strays away from networking because it makes you nervous or you don't feel confident enough, there's some tips in this book that can help you with that and get you to where it is that you need to be. And that actually concludes my presentation part. We can go to questions. This is my contact information. I am on Facebook and Instagram at In Connection Strategies, as well as my email address, which is scniles@inconnectionstrategies.org.
All right. Thank you, Sherrita. I only have comments. I don't have questions for the audience, but I have my questions. Let me remove this. Okay, that's me and the gum. Mhm. All right. So, and I got all kind of stuff. Okay. Junk on top of my computer. Uh, all right. So, Corona Days Professional Development Group, our mission is to increase representation in the workplace of marginalized and BIPOC individuals by providing them with training, mentorship, and other resources, also teaching them how to network. That's part of our mission. And so I ask every presenter this question, so I'm going to ask it to you.
Okay.
Can you share with us if you have ever been marginalized, and if so, in what situation or capacity?
Definitely. One of the positions that I described in my story, I was seeking a promotion, and I definitely had the skills because I put myself in a position where they created a position for me. But once I reached the ceiling of that position, I wanted to move on to something else. And there was an individual that was sort of like mentoring me into the position. I was doing everything. They even put me on a trial basis. And when it came time to give me the position, they hired someone else who was Caucasian with less experience than I had. No time in the company, and they really had no explanation. And when I presented it and said, I'm not sure why we went through this process and I wasn't given the position, it was, let's just put a pin in that and we'll talk about it later. So for me, that was actually that was fuel for me to move on. I knew that it was time to move on because I knew exactly why I didn't get the position. And then also I was told by another person why I didn't get the position. And that's what it was. It was not just the fact that, I am a minority, but also I'm a woman and I'm a minority. So just all of that it was a lot for me, and it taught me some things too, because I hadn't experienced that in a lot of situations, but I learned that, you know what, you're not better than anyone else. So other people experience this at some point, it had to come, and here's what you do about it. I could have stayed there and remained in the position that I was and accepted what they gave me, but instead I just started opening my mouth. I never talked bad about the company, but those individuals that I was working with on a daily basis or helping with events, or, we were working together, different outside vendors and connections. I would just say, if anything comes up, I am always seeking. And that's something that I say, to when I'm working jobs, I'm always seeking. My supervisors knew that, managers knew that. I'm always seeking because I'm always looking for better. And then I had a few people that just approached me and said, are you looking for something? Like, do you have something? And several people had stuff, so it has to do with there's a thing that my grandmother used to say when I was young, a closed mouth won't get fed. So if you're not saying what it is that you're looking to do or how you're looking to expand or excel yourself, then how will people ever know? And that is part of networking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely is part of networking. Let me just put this up here. I asked the question, and I love your answer, and I love your next steps. And I asked the question for your next steps. The answer is the situation that you share. I ask that so that our members or anyone who catches this on a replay or on a live stream, even if they're not a member, they can, if they're feeling marginalized right now, or if a past experience of being marginalized left them in a state, mentally and emotionally feeling that, oh, I am less than and I can't have success. Right. That when they hear your response, the action behind it, the next steps, and then they see that here you are today, a confident woman of color, a confident Black woman who says, even if we didn't take, I don't know when that situation happened, if it was pre-move or after your move, you are a confident woman. right? So, because it took a lot of confidence, it took a lot of bravery and courage to make that move, right? In the way that you want.
Absolutely.
Right? And then it takes a lot of confidence and self-esteem to put yourself out there with people in the way that you've put yourself out there as a W-2 paid employee, and then as someone just offer support to people and building your brand when you didn't even realize you were building a brand. You were just doing what comes naturally, right? But I asked that question for that. I asked the question so that if anyone is currently feeling marginalized or feels defeated now because of past marginalization, they can take from your experience, Sherrita, that wait a minute. This woman just said, now you in this situation, I've seen this play out multiple times. Situations, what you're saying. So, you're in a position, they put you in it. You done worked out all the kinks for that position. You done perfected what we supposed to do. You probably built some relationships with other stakeholders, right? Yep. You set the stage for somebody to come on in here.
Yes. And the beauty of it is I set myself up in a position where I didn't have to go after positions. Positions were coming for me. And I didn't even know that's what was happening because at the time I wasn't even looking for anything else. I loved the job. That was the first time in a very long time that I had ever said, I love my job. Yeah. And I felt afraid for saying that because I was like, well, when you say stuff like that, it starts to go bad. And then shortly after this happened. But to speak to your point of confidence has a lot to do with networking. And that is why I do that's why I teach what I teach, because I see so many individuals, especially professional women who we have been taught to degrade ourselves or lower ourselves down because of because we're a woman, and then also because we may be a minority woman. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do that. You walk into rooms and command rooms with your personality. Now, I'm not saying go into rooms and, get loud or make a scene, because I didn't. When I didn't get the position, I did not make a scene. I thanked them. I was at a meeting. I requested a meeting twice with someone else. They wouldn't give it to me. I said, thank you. I never said, oh, I'm leaving this place. I didn't say that. I said, okay. I said, well, I guess there's some things that I need to think about. And that's where I left it. And when I got a different position, I came back and I said, our last conversation was you were not going to give me the position. You tried to offer me something lower, and I've decided to seek other opportunities. And my supervisor was like, oh, no, that makes me sad. I said, and also, here's my 2-week notice, and I will be and there's nothing to say because they weren't. And even at that point, I had made the decision that even if they tried to offer the position to me at that point, I did not want it because it was tainted. It was tainted, and it was never going to be what I thought it was. And sometimes we just have to roll with that path. You have to go with your journey. Sometimes a closed door is because another door is about to be open for you. So sitting and being upset or digesting how someone made you feel, yes, your feelings are valid and you should explore that, and then you got to get past it. And then you take that, use that as your motivation to go forward, because no one should be able to stop you from doing what it is that you want to do.
I love it. Now, I really love it. And let me tell you something. So you said Biggie Smalls earlier. So let me tell you, what does he say? Bad boys move in silence and violence. Well, let's just take the silence piece, right? So you move in silence. You say, okay, you ain't giving it to me. I'm not going to act a fool in here. I'm just going to make my next move.
Yep.
So yeah, I love it. And then I'll tell you this one that I've just from personal experience, I've learned that it's easy for us to identify that a situation is not good for us when we're uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
Right? But you loved your job.
I did.
Okay. And that is when you love the job and, but that's not for you.
Yeah.
It's not, you're off the path, so to speak, or you stayed there too long. There was something you needed from that experience. And you'd long gotten it. You received it, right? Mm-hmm. And so and this is for anyone watching, you may be like, oh, I'm happy, or I was, like Sherrita said, I was happy, and then all of a sudden, bam, something happened. Well, then something happened because there was some other probably subtle, you might be able to think back that there were some subtle signs and cues that this wasn't for you in the long run, but you were happy, right? And so the universe or God, however you want to say it,
right.
Had to say, let me throw a little wrench in here because she didn't see when this happened and she didn't see when that happened. So let me really show you that, even in your comfort, it's taking you off of the path to your greatness. And I've had that happen plenty times where I say, this is a place for me. Everything is right. They love me. I love them. Everything is so great.
Until they don't. Until they don't love you anymore.
I say too long, and then something happened that I couldn't walk away from.
Yeah.
In that organization.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, I just can't. It's not going to be the same. So I love this. I love this dialogue we're having. I love that this is coming up. I think this would be helpful for our viewers.
Yes, I like to tell people, pay attention to what you're seeing, because you're absolutely right. There were signs that I overlooked because I loved my job. It didn't even pay much, but I loved being able to do what I was passionate about doing. I loved the interaction that I had. And when I looked back after I left that position, I realized my purpose for being there was my entrance into, me moving, relocating. I needed those people because some things that I didn't go over my whole story, but those individuals that I met and connected with there helped me to establish my life. And I found places to live through those people. I went from one apartment to another one. Like, these were people that I work with. And prior to that, I never opened up to people and told them my business. Everybody knew that my children lived in another state and they were doing sweet things for me. And hey, this is for your kids and you should check this out. And so we got here. By the time my kids got here, like, I knew everything to do because I connected with people. But when I got settled, that was when everything kind of turned upside down. And when I look back, I said, okay, that was the season for that. It was time to move on to something else. The beautiful thing is I am still connected to the same people that I was connected to at that time. Those authentic, genuine connections that I had, they still remain. Some of those people have grown to be really good friends to me. So there was reason for it. And I look at everything in my life, every experience is just one step closer to what it is that I want. Now, what I want is always getting higher. So I don't know what happens when I get to the max, but hey, whatever that is, we'll see it when we get there. But everything that happens is just one more step to get there. So I don't take any situation, although it might hurt and it feels negative at the time, I use that as motivation. And I say, you know what? It had to happen because I am that person. Because I love that job, I probably would still be sitting there if I had not seen the signs.
Yeah, we live, right?
And that's why people are miserable at their job. You have to know when the time has come to move on and do something else.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question that's not one of mine. It's just because of something you said about networking and confidence. So would you say that networking makes you more confident, or that you have to be confident in order to network, or a little of both?
I think it's a little of both. I genuinely am a shy person. Most people laugh at me when I say that because they've grown to know me and they're just like, there is not a shy bone in your body. But honestly, there absolutely is. There was so much anxiety leading up to doing this presentation because you just never know. It's just the unknown. And I think unknown can sometimes be a motivation for you. So for me, when I get fearful, it pushes me forward, but I haven't always been that way. So you have to dig deep and say, what is it that I want? Do I really want it? And if I really want it, what can stop me? Mm-hmm. And if your answer is nothing, then allow nothing to stop you, because you're only dealing with people. We're not dealing with, extraterrestrials or animals. These are human beings. They bleed like you. They breathe like you. Every mistake that you make, they probably have made it or they're going to make it. So there is a bit of confidence you have to initiate it. but also it builds more confidence in you. So every time you successfully network with a person, you're going to build a little bit more confidence. You're going to be a little more confident about talking to the next person. You'll stop thinking about, oh, I said that and that was embarrassing, to it doesn't even matter. I'm just going to go talk to these people. And sometimes I say, listen, I'm a weird person just in general. So I say weird stuff and I'll say, I'm sorry, that probably was weird. And then people are like, no, I feel like that too. Usually they feel exactly how you feel.
I love it. I love it. All right. So I'm going to go back to my questions. This is my favorite question. So today, February 25th, Sherrita Niles, that Sherrita Niles. If that Sherrita Niles can go back in time any day, I don't care if it was 24th of February 2025, and tap that Sherrita Niles on the shoulder and say, hey, let me tell you a couple things. What would you want to tell her about your career development journey, your personal development journey? What would you want to tell her?
I would probably go back to the Sherrita Niles that was still in St. Louis and still trying to figure it out. Excuse me, because something that I did realize after I moved here is, yes, I was connected to people, but I was always connected to people through someone else. So I would be introduced, but I didn't cultivate those relationships. I remained just like a connection of such and such, or a connection of this person, instead of cultivating my own relationship with this person. And I probably could have moved into a different light, but I think I needed the change of scenery. And that was the push for me, because I came here with no one. So I didn't have a choice but to open my mouth. In St. Louis, I had choices because I didn't need to. So if I were to go back and talk to myself, I would say, open your mouth. Tell people what it is that you're trying to do. Let them see. You don't have to tell them all of your business, but let them see what it is. Because when I look back, a lot of those people, and I'm still connected to some of those people, they could see what it was. They could see like this movement in me, this shine in me, but they didn't really know what it was that I wanted. So I've had so many people say, oh my God, you're just so brilliant, and you come up with these things and you're so creative, and what is it that you're doing? And I'd go into, I do a little bit of this and I do a little bit of that. And I didn't have the confidence to say, here's what I really want to do. Because had I said that, I could probably be 10 years ahead right now, but I'm grateful that I had to go through that process, because I may not have appreciated it the same back then as I do now. But if I were to say something, I'd say, same thing my grandmother said, closed mouth won't get fed. Open your mouth and let people know what it is that you're trying to do. What is the position that you're seeking? What is it? Who are you trying to interview with? What company do you want to work for? And something that I didn't say earlier is, one of those companies that I went to was a company that I had always dreamed of working for, because I wanted to be in the community. And then here I'm working with somebody, and then all of a sudden she's like, are you seeking? Because I'm hiring. And I was like, what? And even though like it was a great experience, but it moved me forward, so I'm grateful for getting that opportunity, because that was something that I wanted to do. I achieved that goal, and now I'm moving on to the next thing. But yes, I would say, little girl, open your mouth. Open your mouth. Tell them what it is that you want to do. And either they know someone that can get you there, or they can help you get there, or they're going to tell you where you go, who to talk to, what to say. I've had those experiences, but at that time, I didn't open my mouth to say it. Now, if somebody tells me something, I'm like, okay, so should I go tomorrow, or do I need to wait?
I love it. So let me ask you: was St. Louis home originally, or are you originally from somewhere else?
No, I'm born and raised in St. Louis. Born and raised. Yep.
Yep. All right. So that was a definite big move, leaving. Yeah. All right. So here's my last question.
Okay.
All right. If we had one takeaway today, what do you want that to be?
The one takeaway would be, get out and talk to people. Network. That is how you move yourself. That is your vehicle. That's your vehicle to get to your destination, is talk to people anywhere. And it's funny. It's a funny thing. My daughter makes fun of me because since I've taken on this, I'm going to always talk to people. I'm going to open myself up and allow people to see who I am. I can be in the grocery store and random individuals will come and talk to me. And my daughter can like pinpoint it. She'll say, oh, you're about to network. And sometimes it's not networking. Sometimes they're just asking a question, or people just want to tell you their life story. And if I have something to share, then I share. If not, I just kind of nod and smile and, oh, well, thanks for sharing. Or, but I've actually made a friend with somebody that I met in Target, was looking for a job. And she just had this crazy look on her face. And I don't know, she decided to talk to me while I was shopping. And I gave her some advice. And I said, well, who have you talked to? Who have you told that this is what you're trying to do? And she's like, well, why would I need to tell somebody? And I said, because you never know who knows someone. You never know who's connected to someone. Networking is not a new concept. It's lifelong. Like, networking is how our world has moved forward. Any professional, any successful business person, any billionaire will tell you, if you don't talk to people, the money resides in opening your mouth and networking. That's the bottom line.
I love that you say that, because I don't like this thing if people would, I can't tell people that, and it's not going to happen. Or, well, you ain't got to give them the secret sauce.
No.
Say, you can't just be in a corner like the mad scientists think you're cooking something up by yourself, because you can't do it by yourself, right? You cannot do it by yourself. And so we need to share. I'm not saying you got to give everything up, but you need to share. You need to tell people you tell people a little about your vision. And sometimes you need to tell people a lot about your vision, especially when you are around people who don't see it, right? And then those destiny helpers are going to come into your life, and they're going to help you, whether they physically help you or whether they connect you to the next person or next opportunity that helps you. And I've been blessed or cursed with that too, what you have, where people start talking to you.
But you use it to your advantage. Hey, listen, you never know. Don't ever discount like who you're meeting and who you're talking to. And that doesn't mean that I'll talk to every person that talks to me. I'm human. So sometimes I'm not in the mood. But I would say this, something to what you just said. I'm trying to go back to, you made a statement about, giving away your secret sauce. So to the people out there that are feeling like, well, I can't say anything because I don't want somebody, especially if you're in business, I don't want somebody to steal my idea, or I don't want to tell people that I'm going after this job because they may go for it. What is for you is for you. No one can take that away from you. So I have clients who are selling or producing the same products, but I don't advise them the same, because it's all about your personality. What you have, people don't buy your products. They don't buy your service. They're buying you. So be yourself. Do what it is that you need to do. Go after your dream. And it doesn't matter how many other people are going after that dream. I can guarantee you Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg didn't care if somebody else was trying to do what they were trying to do. They know what's in them. And that's the kind of attitude that you have to have. It doesn't matter if you tell somebody you feel like they're going to steal it, but can they do it like you? They cannot. And that's a level of confidence that I do have. I see several people talking about networking and what networking, what I do, no one else does. And no one else can do it like me. And yes, that might sound conceited, but it's really just confident.
It's the reality, though. Like, I tell all of the presenters, when we're talking, and they're like, oh, well, what do you need? Has somebody done that? And I'm like, it doesn't matter if someone did it, right? Yep. Because if someone did it, maybe it resonated with certain people and it didn't with others, right? Absolutely. And so you come, if 5 people want to come Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and talk about resumes, they could come, because all 5 of those people are going to help people.
Yes, they are.
It doesn't matter, so you are certainly right. No one can network the way you network. No one approaches it the way you approach it. Mm-hmm. And there's value in everybody's way of doing it. It's just
right. We're all individuals. So we're here. There is an audience that's for you. There's a position that's for you to build an audience. And that's just what you have to believe. And when you believe that, then nothing stops. I always say nothing stops my flow. So I'm prepared for it. Then okay, that's great that you over there, ma'am, and you over there, sir, are, but I'm calling this mine and I'm gonna get it. I have not, I will say 2 times in my whole life, I've walked into an interview and not got the job. And truthfully, those reasons were because it really wasn't the job that I wanted. I was just trying to work it. But when you go in with confidence, you know your stuff and you are fit for that position, no one can outshine you in it. And if they do, then that one wasn't for you. Go on to the next one and go after that one. And if it's a business, rock your business in your own personality, your authenticity. Nobody else can do it like you can.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I am so glad you came. Presentation. Because again, there are, we have like a superpower networker in the group who has presented, and his way is different, and it worked for him. And I remember when he was getting ready to come and present, I said to him, remember, everybody doesn't have the same level of confidence that you have. Everyone is not going to go up to, if they saw Bill Gates, he would,
Right.
And so I want you to think about that as you are presenting, right? So that, oh man, yeah, they have to know how to. I'm like, no, they don't. Right? That came natural to you. So, it is, and there's some people who, it comes natural like him, right? And then there are people who, like you say, I wasn't that confident, but I've built my confidence, right? I didn't do that in St. Louis. I can look back and see how that didn't help. That didn't serve me well there.
Yes, there were people that I wish that I had an opportunity. I did an event because I first was an event manager. And I did an event with somebody, I'm not going to name drop, but he is famous, very handsome, still on TV. And it was through another, an individual that I was close to that linked me to it. And I never had a conversation with this man. I led him to his car. I led him into the event. I kept his time. I managed the whole event. And all I said to him, everything I said to him, I kept it business. I never said anything to him about one day I want to, when I look back, I'm like, I wish I would have. I could be in a whole different, but I'm still grateful. I'm grateful for having that opportunity. I'm grateful that I didn't, because I wouldn't be right here. I wouldn't have the experiences that I had. So I probably wouldn't be a person that would walk up to Bill Gates. However, what I would do is get close to somebody else that was talking to Bill Gates, make a conversation with them, and then they'll turn around and say, by the way, have you met Sherrita? That's what happens.
Everyone's way is different, but you get the result that you want, right? The result that you need.
So whoever's out there, listen, build your confidence, just like I talked about, eat the frog. Confidence is one of those things. You can't eat the whole frog at one time. You can't jump in and be that person that meets Bill Gates, but you might be able to be Bobby Gates or Sarah Gates, or I don't know his family's name. But somebody else that's connected.
You might be able to talk to Melinda.
Whoever can get you close to him if that's what your goal is. So when you're in networking events, this is what I do when I go to in-person. Hopefully one day we'll be able to do that again. When I go to in-person networking events, I look for the person that looks the most nervous, that's trying not to talk to people, and that's the person I go talk to.
I love it. I'm gonna try that one when the world opens back up.
Person. So who better can relate to them than somebody who felt that before? So I just go over and like, hey, you feel a little uneasy, huh? Have you done this before? Is this your first time? And then you build up something, and the times that I've done that person links to me and everybody else I talk to, then I turn and say, well, this is such a
yes, and they're into.
And then before you know it, 8 people in the room.
All right. That's a tip, guys. That's a tip.
That definitely was a tip. That's something that I teach. So that was a free one. Yes.
All right. Find a person who looks the more uncomfortable than you and the most uncomfortable than you. I love it. All right, Sherrita, we are done. I thank you.
Right. Thank you. I am so appreciative for, first of all, networking with you on LinkedIn. Because this is the result. This is what you get. I really appreciate the opportunity to, be on your platform, get more exposure, because this is what I teach. This is what I teach them. Expand your audience. So hopefully this helps somebody. And if they want more help, get in contact with me. Yes. So we can.
All right. Yeah, I will post up Sherrita's contact information in the group. Thank you. Yes, I will. And of course, we want to amplify everybody's voice and message if they're doing something worthwhile. So I'm glad that we did connect and that you came this evening. If you ever like to come back, you let me know. You come on back.
I sure will.
All right. All right, then, CDPD crew, I appreciate you. And my new inline is thank you all for coming out. God bless you. Good night.
Good night.
All right. Yeah. All right.